Welcome back to the Flower Garden. My name is Lisa, and in today's video I wanted to talk about something that a lot of people are very confused with when they first start on their spiritual journey, and that is, what do we do with our negative emotions? Okay, so usually what happens is when people start on their spiritual journey and they start learning that they are not their ego and that they have these negative thoughts and they have these thought patterns that are ruling them to behave a certain way, they start to question, okay, well then how do I manage these thoughts? Okay, how do I make sure that I am always aligning myself with thoughts that are for my highest good, right? So that usually leads people to kind of get into this like good vibes only mentality where you just push all negativity away, you just focus on the light, and you don't look at any of the shadows. However, something that I've been seeing a little bit more recently on Instagram and other platforms is people talking about how if you are not doing shadow work, then you're not really a light worker, okay? You're not really someone who is dedicated to spirituality. So in this video, I wanted to give some tips on how you can deal with your negative emotions, your negative thoughts. What do you do with them, right? So let's get into that. Tip number one is that you want to make sure that you are feeling your emotions, okay? So something that we as people do subconsciously and all the time is we run from things that are uncomfortable because that's just what we're programmed to do, right? We're programmed by society, by our ego, okay, to run from things that are uncomfortable, to run from things that we fear, right? Instead of facing them, okay, and seeing them for what they are. A good way to gauge whether you are running from your emotions or you're taking the time to feel them is looking at the way that you approach meditation. So I recently was talking to someone and they told me that there are two ways of meditating that they noticed, okay, in their own meditation group. So the first way of meditating is meditating in order to escape from something, okay, in order to push something away. So that means that whoever is meditating, the meditator, if you will, is meditating in order to get like the benefits of meditation, such as dealing better with depression, dealing better with anxiety, and they're doing it just to push those issues away, okay, to kind of make sure that they're not overtaking them, right? Whereas the second way of meditation is meditating in order to be in the present moment and to just be there with whatever comes up. Right? So not judging whatever's happening, not judging the anxiety or depression and saying, oh, this is bad, right? I want to push this away and I want to come to this space of where this doesn't exist and it doesn't bother me, right? And instead coexisting with that and really just being an observer. Think about, what is my approach to meditation? How do I approach meditation? Do I approach meditation in a way where I'm trying to push things away? Or do I approach it in a way where I'm trying to just be present with it, to just look in the face of the beast, right? And be there with it, right? Not succumb to the fear of it. And when I say feeling the emotions, I mean finding healthy ways to feel those negative emotions, right? Because again, it's not actually negative, it's just we perceive it as negative, right? It just is. The emotion itself, negativity, positivity, it doesn't care, it just exists, right? It's not like I'm negative and I'm positive. It just is, right? It's our perception that creates a negative or positive. So in order to find healthy ways to express these emotions, right, you want to find things that allow you to feel those emotions without hurting other people or without, lashing out on anyone or hurting yourself. What I usually like to do is I like to journal, okay? So I will literally sit down with my journal and I will write down whatever is on my mind without judging it, okay? Because again, we're practicing this concept, this practice of observing it rather than judging it and saying, oh, you're bad, I want to push you away, right? So you're just existing with it. So what I do is I just sit with my journal and I write down whatever's on my mind. And I just recently told a client when I was telling her this tip, I said, you know what, if you feel like you need to write just the word fuck like 30 times, then do that, okay? Because what you're doing is you're processing your emotions, right? You're allowing yourself to just write whatever is on your mind and to get it out on paper, to allow it to express itself to the fullest, right? So if that means just repeating a curse word 50 times on your paper, then do that, right? Or just, let out whatever anger, whatever sadness, whatever you have inside of you, right? If it's towards somebody, you can just write about how angry you are at this person and all this stuff, because at the end of the day, it's you and your journal. That person is not going to read it. You don't need to feel guilty about it, right? You're practicing expressing your emotions in a safe way, okay, where you're not going to hurt anyone. You can also, if journaling isn't your thing, which I don't know why it wouldn't be, because journaling is awesome. But another thing you can do is exercise. Okay, exercise is proven to, get that aggression out of you or whatever, help you move through those emotions. And moving your body actually allows you to move around that stagnant energy, right? And to release whatever's trapped in your body. Our bodies are very powerful things, right? There's a reason that we have these energy centers, these chakras, right? Because they hold specific energy in them, and you can have blockages related to them, okay? So just moving your your body around in whatever way, and your booty. I mean, if you like moving your booty, move your booty. I've been moving my booty a lot lately. It's all up to you. But move around your body, right? Because whatever movement comes to you organically, whether it's through dance, whether it's through exercise, whatever it is, that means it's coming out. You're literally moving it out of your body, right? So moving around is great. Exercise is great. If you need to punch the air, as long as you're not punching any ghosts. Just punch the air and cry, okay? Crying is great. Crying is a great release to release your emotions, right? Just whatever healthy way you can express your emotions without hurting other people, without hurting yourself or hurting ghosts, do it. The second tip that I have is to track down the root of this emotion, okay? So figure out, when was the first time that I felt this way, right? Because what's happening when we experience reactions to something, okay, when something triggers us, right? Like, for example, if you get really annoyed when somebody chews with their mouth open, okay, it's good to take a look at, well, why am I having this reaction every time? Okay, where did this come from? When was the first time I experienced this? What happens is you have this initial reaction, and then you start just having that, you're reliving that same reaction, that same emotion over and over again every single time that you get triggered by this thing. And so then that creates a pattern, right? And if we look at Dr. Joe Dispenza's work, that's something that he talks about as well, is this pattern, this autopilot mind that we create every time that we have this same reaction to something, right? So it's up to you to analyze, okay, what was the first time this came from? And then decide for yourself, is this worth keeping? Do I want to keep this reaction? Do I want to keep behaving this way and keep reacting this way, okay? Is it benefiting me in any way, right? Because when we develop these reactions and we develop this just general feeling of misery around certain things, we're actually addicted to it, right? We create this addiction to that feeling, okay? So every time that trigger comes up, you actually have this like secret happiness because you're like, oh, I get to be mad about this, or I get to be sad about this, right? And so you have to analyze these patterns and see, well, is this serving me? Do I want to keep this, right? Where did this even come from? And work through it that way. So that way you can decide what the best way of living for you is. And the third tip is to let the emotion go, okay? So I just touched on this. But once you analyze it, right, and you figure out, okay, where did this come from? It's time to let go of things that don't serve you, right? So if you identify something from your past and you're like, okay, well, this is where this came from, and I'm still reliving this same type of reaction, the same type of moment, what's the point, right? Like, going forward, why would I want to keep being this old version of myself, okay? And how can I let go of this so I can behave in a new way, right? How can I react to this in a new way, okay? Or how can I not react to this at all? Have this non-dualistic approach to it, okay? And view things as objectively. And this is really powerful and very easy to realize when you start realizing that everything is objective, okay? Every single thing, any object, any experience that you have is objective, okay? So think about a a car accident, okay? So if you're someone who got into the car accident, right, you're freaking out, you're like, oh my gosh, my car is messed up, you're just having the worst day, whatever it is, okay, you're upset about it. But then the cop that comes to the scene to, be there and figure things out, that cop doesn't really care. That's just like another Tuesday to him, right? He's dealing with car accidents all day long, okay? So it's a matter of your perception, okay? It's all a matter of your perception. Experiences, objects, they are meaningless on their own, okay? They have absolutely no meaning until we give them meaning, okay? So you have the power to choose the meaning of every experience, every object. It's all up to you. Okay, so you have to decide for yourself. You have to have that awareness, right? You have to decide for yourself, is this a good way to react to something? Does this serve me? If I get in a car accident, is freaking out, worrying, crying about it, getting stressed out about it, is that going to help me? Okay, and continuing to stay in that emotion, is that going to help me? Or do I just need to allow myself to, feel what I'm feeling and let it pass, right? Instead of constantly bringing it up, all of the time, being like, oh my God, I got in this car accident and it's awful and blah, blah, whatever. Just playing the victim, right? So it's important to remember you have the power of perception, okay? Nothing else in this world, nothing is telling you. I mean, there are things that are telling you how to perceive things, but there's nothing, you have the complete power, right? To control your perception, okay? As long as you put in the effort, right? Because it's not, it's not just an easy thing. Like once I tell you, you're like, oh, yeah, I should do that. And then you just implement it, okay? Because obviously we're programmed in certain ways. So it does take time, okay? It takes application. It takes effort to start living in this way, right? To start choosing your reactions, okay? And being aware of them when they happen instead of just going along with whatever the first thing is that comes up because you were programmed to react to things a certain way. Another good thing that you can do for letting go of certain thoughts, certain negative emotions, right, things that aren't serving you, is rewriting events that happened in the past, okay? So take a look at the things that really affected you, okay? The experiences that really affected you negatively, that, people that have affected you in a very deep, maybe negative way, right? Take a look at those, and this isn't easy, okay? I'm not saying this is an easy thing to do because we have this thick shell of victimhood, right? That's like hard to break out of unless you tell yourself it's easy, okay? So it's hard because you tell yourself it's hard. It's hard because we keep all telling ourselves it's hard, but it's easy if you say it's easy, right? So with that, rewrite the experience and think about, well, this molded me into the person I am now, right? So if this hadn't happened, who would I be now, right? I wouldn't have learned the lessons that I learned and gotten all of the benefits out of it that I have now, right? So for me, I did this with my own past, right? I had a difficult childhood, with my mother was basically a single mom, raising 3 kids, and I was having to take care of my brothers all of the time who are 7 years younger than me. And, my dad was kind of just like non-existent, and then later on he was existent, but then he didn't really try to have a relationship with me, so that was really difficult for me through my teenage years. And I had a very hard time with that, okay? I had a hard time for a long time, right? Dealing with, just the things that I went through with my mom, and the stress that she was under and being just in that energy, right? Worrying about money, worrying about all of those things. And then with my dad as well, kind of seeing him as this hero who was supposed to save me and all of this other stuff, and then he ended up not being that, right? So I had to deal with those things, okay? And then in order to heal that, right, in order to stop having the same reaction, having these same emotions come up over and over again when I was thinking about my dad, when I was thinking about my mom, my past, my childhood, right, my brothers even, I had to rewrite that, right? And now I would not change a single thing, okay? I do not regret anything that happened. I wouldn't change a single thing because it made me who I am today, right? And I'm very happy with who I am. I love myself, okay? And I want that for every single one of you, right? I want you to look at how all of these are perceived negative events, right? Things that we perceive as having been negative, how it's all a matter of perception. It's all up to you to decide, was this a bad thing? Was this a good thing? Okay, and the thing that'll make you, in my personal opinion, right, that will make you happy, help you to have a more confident mindset, a more peaceful, a more easy life, is by choosing that these things are good, right? Deciding that these things are good things that happen. Again, to recap, right, the first tip to how to deal with your negative emotions is make sure you feel those emotions, right? Journal, cry, punch the air, whatever you need to do. The second tip was to track down where these emotions come from, right? Do some journaling, figure out where it came from, or, do it in your mind if you're that advanced. I am not, I have to write things down. So, and then the third tip is, of course, to let it go, right? Let it go, rewrite the story, decide if it's good or bad, realize that it's all up to you. You have the power of perception, right? It's all up to you at the end of the day. Comment below if this was helpful, and turn on that notification bell, because in the next video, let me check what I'm talking about in the next video. Hold on, give me a second. I had this open. Here we go. So in the next video, I'm going to be talking about how the divine feminine and divine masculine imbalances, our personal imbalances with the divine masculine, divine feminine, affect our manifestations. Okay, so I've not heard anyone talk about this before, so I'm excited to share my revelations with you. And if you want to see more content about the law of attraction, about how to improve yourself, how to improve your mindset, how to work through your limiting beliefs, then go ahead and check out these videos right here. And until next time, I love you. I hope you have a good day, a good week. Bye.